Goodness gracious, was that brutal. How we doing, everybody? How's it going, all you amazing Mets fans? It's your guy Wardy here. Apologies for the lack of lighting, as I'm currently out of town here in LA for the week, and I was there yesterday in extras where the Mets won it there in a fantastic fashion that we saw yesterday. But today it was another ball game where it's extra innings after the Mets blow it in the ninth, and this time they have nothing to show for it. Freddie Freeman walks it off. Your BnazariNYM can't make a catch, and I'm depressed here on this late night here, game 2 of a 4-game set between the Mets and the Dodgers. How we doing, everybody? I know you're very frustrated, especially if you're staying up late night here on the East Coast, the way that I'm thankfully not on the West Coast for a change here. I am on the West Coast, rather, I should be saying, so I appreciate that aspect. That's not too late for me, but every one of you guys chiming in live at a replay, I appreciate you guys. On my live viewers especially, I know this is not ideal to be talking about a brutal loss in extras, but we're here to break it down. All you sickos or diehard fans like me that want to see my reaction, analysis, and also want to share your input, as always, in the live chat and the comments down below. So please make sure you guys do exactly that. Shout out to our amazing sponsors here at BetUS and SeatGeek, but more on them a little bit later in the show, everybody. And I want to see the L spam in the chat. This is one of those frustrating games. And if there's one positive takeaway outside of Ronnie Mauricio's debut, even though he was as underwhelming as I kind of expected him to be there, banging from the right side against Clayton Kershaw, I expected him to not look too great if he was going to get the start there, and I think Ronnie is ultimately going to get the Cedric Mullins treatment later on in his career as being more of a lefty batter than anything else. Maybe I'm going to be wrong. You know, and speaking of Cedric Mullins, you might just see a conversation regarding him on the platform in the near future, everybody, because there is some things to talk about on that front, but that's separate from this post-game show, as the Mets again were walked off by a final score of 6-5, and we have a lot of breakdown on our latest post-game show, as we have not only a breakdown of this ball game, any 1 through 9 to get into, all the highs, all the lows, after Tyler McGill again started this ball game rocky, gave up 4 runs early in said ball game, and then he retires the ensuing 13 batters in a row out of the next 14 that he sees or so. Tyler McGill absolutely hunkers down and gets in a groove for this Mets team when they need him to, and offensively, you had fantastic contribution from 2 of the key big bats today, at least in the early goings, and the Polar Bear and Pete Alonso, and the one and only Juan Soto, and then BnazariNYM himself there, that gave the Mets the lead later on this ball game. Yeah, you mean to tell me Juan Soto and Pete Alonso have nothing to show there in extra innings, and the Dodgers, again, you can only give them so much opportunity. The Mets took them to 13 innings when my ass was sadly there 10 to 14 days ago, and they lost in extras. They got extras yesterday. Who's in attendance? Of course, this schmuck is. Thankfully, they actually woke up and won that one, even after Diaz blew his first save of the season after going 13 for 13 up until that point. So the Mets have now won 27 straight games where Lindor hits a home run, but unfortunately the Mets don't have a win streak just like that with a guy in Juan Soto, who certainly had a big home run in this matchup. Again, there were positive takeaways to take away from this, everybody, and there is one key takeaway I want to share with each and every one of you, my humble opinion. It's the fact that the Mets are going toe-to-toe every single game with the LA Dodgers. Can we take a moment to appreciate that? The Mets are not playing anywhere close to their best baseball in certain aspects. Reed Garrett was an absolute bulldog gain out of that jam earlier in the ball game that we saw there. There were certainly positives heading into this one, everybody, and as we saw the ball game began with Ronnie Mauricio being called up, making his season debut, the first time he's in the bigs since 2013, the last time he played at all at the major league level since going down with a full season-long plus injury that he sustained in the offseason of heading into the 2024 year there in the Dominican Winter League. Ronnie Mauricio gets the call, and who gets sent down? Max Kranick gets sent to Syracuse after giving up a home run to Shohei Ohtani this past night. I'm sorry. I feel like out of all people that you sent him down for, Kranick, I know, hasn't pitched nearly as strong for the Mets this past month versus what he did in April, but at the same time, giving up a home run to Shohei is average, unless you're Paul Blackburn, Paulie Walnuts, Paulie, what we're going to go with, Paulie Punchies here, Big Balls Blackburn, whatever you want to label him. He was fantastic yesterday, but point is, everybody, Mets had themselves a lot of things cooking right yesterday in what was a tight walk-off fashion, not a walk-off fashion, but extra innings victory. Today, they lose in a walk-off fashion, but again, every single game against the Dodgers has been a gauntlet, whereas you see those sorry schmucks we call the New York Yankees, and I know they kicked our teeth in when we were in the Bronx, no denying it. I completely understand. They were fairly close games until they weren't, especially this series finale. But the Yankees have no clue how to handle the kryptonite that is the big bad Dodgers. Yet for the New York Mets, when it comes to the Dodgers again, this is the team that we're supposed to have big games against. Not just the Atlanta Braves, not just the Philadelphia Phillies, the Dodgers are the biggest obstacle in the Mets' way from getting where they want to be, and that's the promised land potentially this year deep in a postseason play. The Mets have 38 wins on the season now. I believe the Dodgers have 37 or 38 right now as well. They're neck and neck, and they will continue to be that way. But now there are 2 more games to decide the fate of this series, and the Mets entered, everybody. We cannot forget this. The Mets entered this 4-game set of a road trip having 2 series wins on the road, 5 series losses, and what just happened? I apologize. And 1 there in a series tie across what was 4 games. That was against, sadly, the Nationals, where there was not 1, but 2 effing walk-offs, in which C.J. Abrams was the game-winning run in both. Shout out to Padres for having the most lopsided trade in recent history for Juan Soto, James Wood, now Robert Hassel, who hit his first MLB bomb the other day, Mackenzie Gore, C.J. Abrams. I digress. That pisses me off separately. But, guys, we have a lot of breakdown in this ballgame. As I mentioned, Scott, thank you so much for the $5 holla. Scott states the following: champions close these games in the 9th. We can't justify blowing saves in back-to-back in the 9th. I 100% agree. And listen, the Mets did not go back to Edwin Diaz in the 9th inning today because they worked Edwin each of the past 2 or 3 games at least that we saw, going back to the previous Rocky series as well. Reed Garrett had himself a fantastic outing today, but he wasn't going to be going out there for another inning. And at some point, you only have so many options in your bullpen to consider. And for the Mets and their options that they had to consider there for the 9th inning specifically to try to close this one out, it was unfortunately, again, my guy who I love in Oscar Brosman, but it just isn't going to work every time. And Barrazo thankfully kept it a tied ball game. Made sure that it was not walked off at least yet by the Dodgers. But Jose Butto, color me shocked, didn't do the Mets all many favors in this one either. So Scott, thank you so much for the donation. All my members first chiming in live and replay, happy to have you all in here. If you guys are a new subscriber as well or reoccurring, thank you so much for chiming in. Billy Donnie with the $2 holla states, Mets need a laugh for tomorrow. The pen is cooked. I know we do need a laugh for tomorrow. And speaking of laughers, everybody, there is a great chance that I will not be covering the Mets game live after the game immediately. I mean, we'll see what happens, because I actually may be busy at a comedy show. So if that is the case, everybody, I will have some form of Mets content for you guys. It'll either be pre-recorded or live like what we did yesterday, and just hope that the stream doesn't bug out. I don't think it will, like what happened yesterday, because I was exiting Dodger Stadium. The connection got all messed up. I would just be standing outside of a building this time around. So I'll probably do a live show, again, on the prowl, the way that I'm doing it right now in LA for tomorrow's Game 3 matchup between the Amazons here and the LA Dodgers. But let's get into a couple of things that we're going to preview to break down here shortly, everybody. Hit that like and subscribe button as you first chime in, and let me know all your key reactions to this very frustrating 6-5 walk-off loss here to the LA Dodgers. Because as we begin, folks, let's take a look specifically here on the pitching numbers, because again, this is what we saw to begin the ball game, and I'm going to let you guys get some time to marinate your thoughts in your head. How would you grade Tyler Miguel's final line, who ends up going 6 rock-solid innings for the Mets, 4 earned runs, absolutely, but 1 walk to 7 strikeouts, a 3.77 ERA on the year for Big Drip Tyler Miguel. I want to know your thoughts, how you would grade him on a scale 1 to 10, but I want to hear that once we get to his final line after breaking down the ballgame inning by inning. Brandon Waddell went in there, did what he needed to do, thankfully. He got the call today that we saw as a corresponding move, because Max Kranick, again, the Mets needed healthy arms in their bullpen. That went without saying. That went in hand with the transaction happening too, obviously. Oscar Brosman, Reed Garrett, just talk about them. Jose Butto, not happy about that, but I also understand it's not like Butto's at endless fault here. It just, again, kind of a bad time, bad place in the case of Butto there. He's been in a lot of situations lately that have had me nail-biting, not just him, but also because, again, Brandon Nimmo, who I love Brandon, and without Brandon, the Mets don't necessarily get the lead in this ball game, but at the same time, he misses what felt like should have been a catchable play, and then here we are, the Dodgers walk it off. Hitting-wise, everybody, we're going to talk more on this, but 1 through 9, this is how the ball game ended. This one starting with Lindor and ending there with Acuna. Acuna came in as a pinch runner later on in this ball game. Ronnie Mauricio got the entire start there in the hot corner today, and defensively he wasn't much of a liability, which was nice to see, but offensively he did in fact ground into a double play, had a strikeout, and looked like a guy who's clearly a better batter from the left side in the early goings of his professional career in the minor leagues than what we're seeing at the right side there as a switch hitting option. We're going to go through everything 1 through 9 here in a second, everybody. I'm not going to be too long-winded tonight. Again, I know it's very late night. It's almost 2 a.m. East Coast, and for me it is 11:38 not AM, what am I saying? 11:38 p.m. here out west, and I have places to be after this. So we're going to have this go on for the next 20, 25 minutes or so. Then that's going to do it for the show, if not a little bit sooner. And let's get now back to the top to breaking down this ball game, everybody. And I do apologize there for the jump scare. I tend to do that by accident on my intro. If I do the jump scare, then that means that something at least is going right in the live show, because we have those hiccups every single time. It's kind of just part of the routine here by now. But Juan Diaz, great member and moderator. How are you? Happy to have you in your camp. How you doing? Good too. Carlos, Matthew, Scott Greenwald, great member. Rebecca, how we doing? Great member. Going up the list. Dan, how we doing? Great member. L Take, how we doing? Jason, Official Mark, Military Mike, Quarantine, Carlos, how we doing? Zach Flakerton, going up the list here. Patrick St. Clair, Ali, how we doing? Going up here even more. No Name. Let's see. Brian Meow, how are you doing, my man? Skunk, how you doing? Adolph, how you doing? Jose, let's see. UWL, Mista, how are you? Going up here even more. Carlos, let's see. E Santana. And that's about it, everybody. Again, watching live on a replay. Happy to have you all in here, folks. Not happy to be breaking down a Mets loss like this one. This one was frustrating, don't get me wrong, but I'd be hanging my head more in regards to this loss if it was a lopsided loss. Yes, it sucks, especially when you stay up late to watch these games, but at the same time, I'm just happy to see the Mets duking it out the way that they are with the Dodgers right now. Like, every game has been a battle, right? So the Mets so far this season have won 3 out of their first 5 games against the Dodgers. That's nothing to scoff at. Hopefully they can take Game 3 tomorrow. If they can take Game 3, try to take the series 3 out of 4. If you somehow, some way can get 3 out of 4 there at Dodger Stadium, you're feeling electric. And if you go with a series split, not the end of the world either, but you certainly want to make sure you do not lose the series and lose the momentum after losing a ball game like this, everybody. I want laughers. I 100% want laughers too, but in the case of losses, sometimes I don't always want laughers, because I want my team to show up every night. I don't want there to be these continued lopsided results where they're not showing up, because that shows a team that is not going to be able to handle the crunch time down the stretch when we need them to otherwise. But now, guys, let's break down this ball game, everything that happened in it, and again, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between, folks. And again, thank you so much for smashing that like and subscribe on as you first chime in here for our latest post-game show presented by our great friends here at BetUS that has you covered with all of your sports betting needs. Quick thing on BetUS, folks, especially if you guys have interest in sports betting, but make sure you bet responsibly. Should you in fact do exactly that, folks, head over to betus.com.pa today and utilize our promo code YouTube150. That way you too get a 150% bonus on your first deposit, $125 on your second, your third, up to $2,000 for whatever you guys want to bet on. And these were the pregame odds between the Dodgers and the Mets today. And if you guys were not biasly betting, but you did in fact hammer the money line for the Dodgers here, then you came out winning some money. The downside is if you bet against the Mets, you won, but you won at what cost? Your favorite team losing. So this was a tough one. I actually stayed away. Mets at plus 124. I obviously like the odds a lot, but I did not know what to expect in Game 2 of a 4-game set. Transparently, with McGill on the mound and offensively, what we were getting 1 through 9 in said matchup. I was encouraged, obviously, by Juan Soto, Pete Alonso, Nimmo to a degree, among others. And we're going to get into those pros here shortly, but when it comes to picks, odds, lines, you name it, everybody, BetUS has you covered there. Not only there, but also in the casino front as well. But getting into this one, everybody, let's break it down now. Innings 1 through 9, and this 6-5 dramatic, very frustrating, but again, not the end of the world, walk-off defeat here to the LA Dodgers in LA. I'm just glad that I attended yesterday's masterclass with Paulie Punchies going 5-shutty and us winning with Ohtani hitting a bomb and seeing just Lindor leadoff bomb. Again, just everything about it was tremendous. It was just enough stressful yesterday where I wasn't like stressed to the point. I mean, heart was palpitating a little bit, especially, not only after Diaz blew it, but just getting into extras, no doubt, because the place was roaring anytime that Ohtani, Freeman, etc. Came up, even Tommy Emmett to a degree, because it was his effing bobblehead night when he hit the bomb against the Mets in the LCS. I will either be auctioning that off or just kicking that off the roof of my house at some point. One of the two. You guys can be on the live lookout for that one. But I digress, enough of wordy tangents here. We break down this ball game between the Mets and the Dodgers. And towing the rubber for the Mets was Tyler McGill here. And for the Dodgers was the soon-to-be Hall of Famer, Mr. Clayton Kershaw. And thankfully, the Mets did beat up on Clayton a little bit, at least earlier in said ball game. It began here in the first that we saw Lindor there batting leadoff there. And second was Mr. Starling Marte in the 2-hole, and he ripped a single that we saw right there to Mr. Teoscar Hernandez for an opposite field hit. Juan Soto popped out, and a wild pitch allowed Marte to get to second base. And then Alonso gives the Mets that quick early 1-0 lead thanks to a single there. Alonso getting the offense started early and often. He entered this ball game still with it right around around 300 or over average with runners in scoring position this season, which is fairly consistent with his numbers on the year overall for Alonso, who's now currently batting .286 with a .921 OPS. Nothing to be upset about there. WardyNYM then would strike out to end the inning, but not before the Mets get off to that quick 1-0 lead. In the bottom of the first, everybody, Shohei Ohtani would be called out on strikes. Nasty work, dotted corner there by you fantastic Mr. Big Drip Tyler McGill. Then we see Mookie Betts, unfortunately, get on with a one-out single. Freddie Freeman ties the ball game just like that, thanks to his 18th double of the season. Freddie and that sexy swing, there's only so much you can do about it. And it was a smoked baseball. And for Tyler McGill, where was he faulted? He had a changeup that just had a little bit too much over the heart of the plate, and Freddie can just hit that thing without a problem. It was not too down and away at all. Eating enough of the heart was going to get the job done. And that ties it, everybody, 1-1. Teoscar Hernandez then gets on with a walk and then quickly becomes 2-1 LA as one of the best hitters and runners in scoring position in all the National League this year. And Will Smith, no, not the Will Smith of Bel Air. We're talking the Will Smith of Los Angeles, California, as he puts them up 2-1 this time with an RBI ground out, folks. That was frustrating when that initially happened. What was 10 times more frustrating was what happened 2 seconds later, everybody. Max Muncy, who would not torment the Mets just in the beginning of this ball game, but in the end of this ball game too. Very Francisco Lindor-esque, I have to say, with the Muncy treatment against our Mets tonight. Seriously, we saw this exact same thing happen with Lindor a couple days ago against the Rockies, right? He had a bomb at the beginning of the game, and then I think in the 8th inning or so, give the Mets an insurance run or a go-ahead at the time. Muncy again rips his 8th home run of the year. That makes it 4-run Dodgers, and that felt like an early gut punch. It wasn't the end of the world, but this baseball was smoked just under 410 feet, just over 108 miles per hour there for Max Muncy, and it was a four-seam fastball, 95 right down the dick. I mean, what do you think's going to happen, Tyler? I love you, but that was an unfortunate reality. The Mets quickly go down by 3 there through the first, and I want to hear from you guys in the live chat and the comments down below. When that initially happened, when that bomb was given up there to Max Muncy, everybody, what was your level of confidence in the Mets rallying back in this ball game? Because what was the commonality with this ball game, which has been a continuation of what we saw with the Mets yesterday and the days prior? The Mets have rallied back like every game for the past north of 2 weeks now. Going back to the start of their series against the Dodgers, every game that they've won, with the exception of one win against the White Sox, they came back by at least 1 or more runs. And even though the Mets lost them in the 13th inning, in the game I was in attendance at Citi Field North of 2 weeks ago, that loss happened while they were still losing initially, and then they rallied back 3 runs in the 9th inning. Tyrone Taylor tied it, and they lost in extras. And then you look today, again, they had the lead in this one, and they blew it the way that they did. But let's not forget the fact that the Dodgers were initially up 3 runs in this ball game, so we got reeled back in naturally just to have our hearts ripped out yet again. That's what made the loss so frustrating out of this one in a walk-off fashion. LA, of course. Again, I'm just glad I wasn't there for this one. But it's 4-1 LA, everybody, as we then get to the second inning. In the second, Tyrone Taylor gets on with a walk. Then we see Ronnie Rizzo quickly ground into a double play. Love Ronnie. So happy to see him at the major league level. Obviously, he's up for Mark Vientos, and we don't know exactly how long Mark's going to be out. We're waiting more clarity as he was sent back to New York there to get further imaging. I hope he's okay, because it would absolutely suck if he's out for an extended period of time with a hamstring injury. I don't wish it on anybody, but especially Mark, who I know is trying to get in the groove of things and not have this set him back when he has guys actively competing in his third base roles at /DH right now. Alvarez gets on them with a 2-out walk, and McNeil flies out to end the inning. In the bottom of the second, Conforto grounds out. Hai-Sung Kim strikes out there. Big strikeout that we saw from Mr. Tyler McGill on the slide piece at 85. Love that placement. And Shohei Ohtani flies out, and that does it for a nice 1-2-3 second. And the third, Francisco Lindor rips a single there to kickstart the inning. And then what do we see 1 out later, everybody? The one and only Juan Soto having himself finally a home run. Not just any home run, but this time a bomb with runners on base, folks. A damn shame that in a game where you get a 2-run ding-dong from Juan Soto, his 11th of the year, just under 400 feet and just over 100 miles per hour in the exit velocity, ripped that four-seam fastball right down the dick. Where do you think it's going to go, Clayton? I'm sorry, Clayton. I know you're a true Hall of Famer, but when you throw meatballs at 91, not even 92, right down the middle, Juan Soto's going to take you deep just as good as any batter in the league, especially one who dominates not just Major League Baseball, but especially against left-handed pitching. I mean, this is batting practice for Juan. Gets all of that one, and that at the time, folks, makes it a one-run ball game, and that would change not long after from that point. But we would see Alonso and Nimmo go down in order on the ground and the flyout, leading us then to the bottom of the third, where Tyler McGill has his second 1-2-3 inning of the ball game between Mookie, Freddie, and Hernandez. No strikeouts, no problem. 1-2-3, you're out of here. And the fourth, the Mets are out of here, sadly, as we would see a Ronnie Mauricio strikeout for his second at bat of the day, and then a Alvy groundout. Did it there after Tyrone kickstarted the inning with a groundout himself. At the bottom of the fourth there, we saw with 2 outs after Max Muncy strikes out for one of his first outs of the day, Andy Pages, who's had a very good year there in the outfield for the Dodgers, rips his 8th double year. But Michael Conforto, who is not even batting the Mendoza line, strikes out swinging on Tyler McGill's pitch, and that does it there for the inning. Beautiful placement there by McGill that we saw on what was honestly, a four-seam a little in that Conforto just missed entirely. Like, that's a meatball if you turn on it right, but Michael just did not see it well. Beautiful placement there that we saw on Conforto, and I apologize, it wasn't in. It was actually a little down and away, but again, could have been poked opposite field if it was hit right. Conforto just didn't see it. As we got to the top of the top of the 5th inning, everybody, Lindor gets on with a 1-out walk. Marte would then reach on fielder's choice, and then 1 out later after Soto pops out, the Polar Bear rips himself another huge extra base hit with 2 outs. Clutch hitting for Mr. Runner in scoring position, Pete Alonso. The Polar Bear gives the Mets a tie ball game 4-4 thanks to his 19th double of the season. This is roughly 113 miles per hour off the bat, 273 feet there into the gap. You absolutely love to see it. That tied the ball game 4-4, folks. Smoke there by Alonso, and then we see Brandon Nimmo hustling his ass down first base. Listen, this is the same Brandon Nimmo that's hustling down first base when it's a routine ground out, but he did it here on he needed it big time. He hustles it out upon review. He is safe. Brandon Nimmo hustles out an infield single with 2 outs that gives the Mets a 5-4 lead, and you're thinking to yourself, oh baby, if the Mets win this one, this is going to be absolutely electric. You're feeling absolutely locked in knowing that you had a hustle for that 5th run of the ball game to be scored, and hopefully the pitching can close it out. But again, this is Dodger Stadium. Remember that, everybody. This is not going to be as easy or as comfortable as what we would otherwise hope as Mets fans. Because as we continue on from here, another 1-2-3 inning of work there that we see from Big Trip. Again, he retires the final 13 or 14 batters or so that he sees in this ball game after giving up that 3-run shot there to Max Muncy, and he strikes out Hyun-Sung Kim and Shohei Ohtani back-to-back, and then Mookie Betts lines out there to end the inning. We then get to the 6th inning, folks. Ronnie Mauricio with his second ground out of the day. Again, just didn't look good there, especially that we saw from the right side of the plate, but even when facing Ben Caspareis there in relief for Clayton Kershaw, it didn't matter. He grounded out there. Alvarez with a pop out, and McNeil with a line out does it for the top of the 6th. In the bottom of the 6th, Tyler McGill's final inning of the day, everybody. He gets a ground out on Freddie, a strikeout on Tio, and a fly out on Will Smith. Everybody, Tyler McGill's final line, as I said earlier, but I will reiterate it once more because I do think it's important. The context of his final line is important to everybody. Tyler McGill goes a total of 6 innings, 4 earned run, 4 earned run, 1 walk, 7 strikeout baseball. And that 1 walk is notable to me because McGill has a tendency to walk everybody and their mother when he doesn't have the best outing. But he just had 1 unfortunate pitch that Muncy took for a ride. Otherwise, he was in a complete groove and had control in this one. The 4-seam fastball, which was at 35% of the arsenal, he topped out at 98 and sat 96, so it was up on the velo today. Mind you, again, the Cali native, not surprising to see McGill kind of have that extra moxie with him today with his family in attendance. Shout out to McGill's as always. 31 percentile was the slider there, topping out at 85, sitting right around 84. The curveball at 14% there, topped out 82 and sat right around 81. The sink piece at 13%, topped out 96, sat right around 95. And the changeup at just 6% of the arsenal, topped out 91, sat right around 90. Everybody, Tyler McGill, even when allowing 4 earned runs, he is still going to get a rock solid 6 out of 10 from your guy Wardy. I was debating between 6 and 6.5 if I'm being honest, just because I was really impressed with how he hunkered down and finished the ball game, because usually the story with McGill is not necessarily how he starts a ball game, but versus how he finishes it, right? He can't get through that second or third turn in the order without walking everybody and their mother. Wasn't the case today. He gave up that early 3-run bomb to Muncy within the first 3 innings. Then he got in a groove. So for those reasons, I'm actually going to be giving Mr. Tyler McGill, a rock-solid 6 out of 10 rating. Even what was a frustrating, devastating loss, don't you doubt it or question it for a second. I am in complete agreement and alignment with you, everybody. I'm still going to go 6 out of 10 from your guy Wardy here on my official grade for Tyler McGill as final line. But let's get back into breaking down more of this ballgame, everybody, and let me know all of your initial grades to McGill in the chat and the comments for everybody watching us on replay, folks. But as we continue on from here and break down, unfortunately, this walk-off victory for the Dodgers and a very frustrating one for the New York Metropolitans and the fans, including ourselves. Hit that like and subscribe button as you come in, folks, as always, and thank you so much. As always, check out our great friends at SeatGeek that have you covered for 10% off your next ticket purchase as well, utilizing our promo code WARDY10, everybody. Link down below in the description. Check out, and thank you so much in advance for doing exactly that. As we get to the 7th inning, a 1-2-3 there for the Mets, going down in order between a Lindor K, a Marte K, and a ground out by Soto. And the bottom of the 7th there, a little stretch gets going, but nothing prevails outside of, Muncy getting on, not getting on, I apologize. He lines out Paez with a ground out, and Kike Hernandez comes in for a 2-out walk, but then Tommy Edman then grounds out to end the inning after Brandon Waddell comes in relief. Waddell did a rock-solid job on working around that 2-out walk, and Brandon Waddell gives the Mets a scoreless inning of relief there as a lefty southpaw option. As we would see then, everybody, in the top of the 8th, Alonso goes down via ground out. Alex Vesia comes in there, which makes sense. Brandon Nimmo pops out. Tyron Taylor gets on with a single. Love TT with a 2-out hit, but Mauricio back batting from the right side would be his demise as he pops out. That does it for the inning. The bottom of the 8th, Ohtani gets on with a leadoff walk. Betts then with a single. Freddie Freeman strikes out after the Alvarez pass ball there, allowed Ohtani to get to third and Mookie Betts to second. Didn't love that at all. Alvy has been fluctuating with the defense, to say the least. Teoscar Hernandez then reach on a fielder's choice, and then Will Smith strikes out. Guys, Reed Garrett, the cojones on this man are unbelievable. Huge strikeout there with a sweeper at 88 miles per hour, and mind you, Reed Garrett escapes the runners on the corners jam there, less than 2 out. Just does it in such a bulldog fashion. Reed Garrett now, everybody, is down to an absolutely whopping 0.68 ERA. He is just jaw-dropping, and anyone that thought that last year was a fluke, that he wouldn't be able to follow up this year, F you, buddy. Have no clue what you're talking about. No, not a ball nowhere. I'm sorry to tell you. Then we see in the top of the 9th, everybody, McNeil rips a 1-out double, his 4th of the year. Then we see Acuna come in a pinch run for him. Then Anthony Banda comes in relief, and you get a flyout, and Luis Torrens, that does it for the 9th. At the bottom of the 9th, Max Muncy absolutely rips the heart out of my chest. As soon as Huascar Brosban comes in, he is greeted terribly there. 4 pitches in on a 4-seam fastball, 97 upstairs. This catches too much plate for Muncy, and he turns on it big time. Goes 408 feet, roughly 110 miles per hour. Ties the ball game 5-5 with his 2nd home run of the ball game. That does it there, as then we would see Huascar strike out the side after from Pages to Kike to Edman. So he locked in big time, and that's what I like about Brosban. Even when he's given up some runs this year, he's done a very good job on getting out of that inning. Similar to Edwin Diaz. Like Edwin yesterday, even when Edwin blew it in the 9th inning, we weren't happy about it, but he kept the ball game tied. And normally, I would be more encouraged with that heading into extra innings, but knowing that the Mets were so limited with their reliever options and knowing that they'd have to go back to Jose Butto is what had me concerned as a fan, and naturally, my concerns became a reality because we would see the Mets do nothing in the 10th as Soto strikes out, Alonso strikes out, and Nimmo grounds out, and then we see Butto intentionally walking Ohtani, a Mookie Betts line out, and then the Freddie Freeman double there that again goes over Mr. Brandon Nimmo. I'm actually going to watch the highlight once more just to see exactly how frustrating it was by him not making that catch. We're going to watch this in real time. I'm just not going to show you guys on the screen right now because they're going to copyright me because I don't have it set up in a certain way where there wouldn't be an issue. So give me 1 second, everybody. I'm just going to double check here on this play to just see, because I was so pissed off in the moment. As soon as I saw he missed it, I clicked off my screen on the game right away and I went right to get live here. So Freeman going left, Nimmo going back. I don't know how did Brandon just lost in the lights somehow. I don't know how the hell else that happens. The same Brandon Nimmo who, mind you, gave the Mets the 5-4 lead initially in this ball game is the same Brandon Nimmo that, again, just completely blind and can't find it anywhere. Just unbelievable. So that wasn't helpful at all. And the only reason why I'm not too butthurt about this, again, is because I was thankfully in attendance for the walk-off win yesterday. today would have stung 10 times worse if I was there, everybody. But I think in a way to wrap up and conclude the live show here, everybody, for our post-game breakdown, especially when we take a look at not only the pitching numbers, but especially the offensive numbers, how the ball game ended for the Mets. They had key opportunities that they still did not pounce on nearly enough. The Mets did do better with runners in scoring position today, and that should be noted. They went 4 for 11. That's still batting average, right where I want them to be, if I'm being honest with you. So I can't critique them that much, but you still left 7 on base, and you can't give too much wiggle room to a Dodger team, as the Dodgers are now 37-24 with the Mets 38-23. The battle of the best in all the National League right now, folks. And sadly, this game 2 goes to LA in a dramatic walk-off fashion. Got to not give Max Muncy pitches a hit, and you got to make sure you don't walk him every single time either. Not ideal, but again, these are batters that you need to attack properly, and forcing fastball up was just too much to give to Max Muncy, who is going to be sitting heater every day of the week to tie said ball game. So guys, Dodgers go on to win this one 6-5. The Mets hope to bounce back tomorrow there, that we're going to see in game 3 of the matchup. Pitching-wise, toeing the rubber for the Mets is going to be Griffin Canning facing off against the veteran right-hander Tony Gonsolin. The Mets won their last game against Gonsolin at Citi Field less than 2 weeks ago. Let's see if they could do it again here. Offensively, Lindor, 1 for 4 game with 2 runs scored, 284 average, 854 OPS on the season. Starling Marte, 1 for 4 with 2 runs scored, 224 average, 683 OPS. Brett Beatty, 242 average, 734 OPS, came in as a defensive replacement. Torrens came in then as the pinch hitter, 260 average, 755 OPS. Soto with the home run, his 11th of the year, 2 RBIs, 233 average, and 799 OPS, almost at the 800 OPS finally for Soto. Baby steps. Alonso with the big game, the pair of RBIs, 286 average, 921 OPS. Tyron Taylor, 1 for 3, 239 average, 636 OPS. Ronnie Mauricio, 0 for. He'll hopefully get his first hit tomorrow if he's in the lab. Alvarez, I think he needs more reps from the left side, especially though, because again, I think he's a better lefty batter. Alvarez 0 for in this one, 239 average, 637 OPS. Jeff McNeil, 244 average, 815 OPS. And Luis Angel Acuna, 246 average, 590 OPS, everybody. And that does it for the New York Mets in this one. I want to thank you guys again all so much for watching. I apologize again for not doing too much on the community front in this one. Again, been out of town, so trying to do this and cram everything in time with everything else that we have running around has not been easy, but I've been trying to get this content out for you guys as much as possible, including when I woke up today and rolled over to see the Ronnie Mauricio breaking news as to what was happening. So pretty cool, but I'm happy that Ronnie's here. Defensively, it was nice to see him get work there at the hot corner. Let's not forget, and I can tell you this in confidence from people I knew close to the Mets organization going back the 2023, entering the 2024 season, that Mauricio did not go down with injury. He was fully expecting to be the starting third baseman for the Mets for the 2024 season. Instead, Mark Vientos runs away with it after Beatty does it initially. Now Beatty is looking sound there, but Mauricio is now getting the call with Vientos on the 10-day IL at minimum. And we'll see if it stays 10-day or if it gets worse from there. But guys, that's going to do it for our latest post-game show. Be on the lookout as we'll have more content dropping for you guys tomorrow. Potentially video dropping earlier in the day, as well as a post-game live show or a pre-recorded video at the end of the ball game between Game 3 Mets-Dodgers there in LA. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I will see you all tomorrow. Love you all to death no matter what. And let's just try to shake this one off the way that I know we're going to have to as Mets fans in a 162. Peace out, folks.